So we were looking for some information on the Hargis Cemetery. Nobody seemed to know where it was. And the guy we asked did say he knows where James and Bonnie Vance, JD Vance's paternal grandparents, lived. He said, go down 3 or 4 miles on this road. I'll kind of show the church out on the main section of the road in the holler. And after the church, you turn left, and there's a brick house, and it's got quite a few old cars and appliances around it. So apparently that's JD Vance's grandparents' home. So I'm assuming from the stories he would come down here and spend his holidays with, I just love his grandma so much. And you can imagine a lot of these cars are older than JD Vance. Just imagine him playing in the river over here. And what's so fascinating is if the election goes the way it's sort of looking it's gonna go, not even getting into the politics here, JD might be president. And this would have been the president's childhood vacation home. A little different than George Bush Sr.'s, I would assume. And I found this. This is kind of interesting. Did you see the cemetery up there, John Robert?
Oh wow, yeah, there is.
One flood and it'll wash those graves away. I think it's the Combs family. They keep coming up in the family feud tour that we're in the area for. It's super cool to think that JD Vance, when he was a kid, would play around here on the holidays. His grandma lived in there. Actually, the house they used in the movie was pretty close to this. It might have been this, actually. So JD's grandparents lived in the brick house to the right there. You can see these homes are, well, they're usually built on a little creek like this, and there's a lot of concerns I've heard from locals, at least in interviews, about the possibility of the new mining techniques leading to mountains not being able to absorb that much water, so that when it floods, a lot of these homes can flood or wash away. It happened in eastern Kentucky not too long ago, and I still see signs saying we'll get through this together. And this is the church that you can use to guide you to JD's home. We haven't really found anybody, at least yet, willing to talk about JD Vance and what he was like growing up with here. I found one guy who said he knew the family, and some people in the family were kind of a little bit wild, and they really liked smoking a little bit of the green, but maybe not JD. Well, certainly he didn't mention JD, but all I heard was one guy in the local town taught him how to swim. And this is the Pan Bowl Full Gospel Church. And it's wild, these are some of the poorest places in America. There are still some coal mines here, but pretty much everything dried up. And we're driving up to see JD's grandma and grandpa's grave. About 20 minutes drive, but this is the old Jackson Inn, now abandoned. And I'm wondering if this is the hotel. I never read his book. I intend to, but yeah, I wonder if this is the one. And there's the Kentucky River. Jackson's up just a little bit beyond there. You can see the open mining on the mountain. And overlooking downtown Breathitt County, you've got the Combs graveyard. And right down here is the grave of JD Vance's great-great-great-grandfather. Like everybody who watched the movie Hillbilly Elegy, I'm a huge fan of JD Vance's grandmother, especially his family on his paternal side. And he said in the movie that he's related to the man who started the Hatfield and McCoy feud, but I think in reality he was a relative of those who were active in Bloody Breathitt, which was more of the Cockrell-Hargis feud, and his great-great-great-grandfather is the man who served as the judge over Breathitt County for a long period of time. Newspapers reported that he was working on a book about the bloody feuds in this county, not about the Hatfields and McCoys, but about Bloody Breathitt. He claims that several hundred murders were committed after the Civil War, thanks to old-time rivalries and the rapid influx of wealth and new blood to the county that people here just couldn't handle. He told the papers he'd begin the book in 1903, but I never found any further updates. This did lead to family deaths, but I'll be exploring more about the feud itself and the couple of people in JD Vance's family who died in the feud. So this is the Combs Cemetery, but what you'll notice about a lot of Appalachian cemeteries is all to the back row, you've got JD Vance's paternal family, the Blantons, and we've even got over here, past my friend, the Spicer Cemetery, which is totally cut off. And you'll notice that about a lot of different cemeteries and family cemeteries in Appalachia. People try to be buried next to their kin. Over here is JD Vance's third great-grandfather, so his great-great-great-grandfather on his mother's side. And over here is the judge's son, Grover Cleveland Blanton. Now, he was the judge's son, and because of that, he was also deputy sheriff. And in Bloody Breathitt, for many years, the lawmen were pitted against local politicians, although this was more the case in the 1890s and early 1900s than when Grover was ambushed in 1915, and that ambush would kill him. In fact, by the time he was killed, all the feud's original leaders had already been murdered or disappeared into Canada, gone west to take on new names. Weeks before his death, the judge's son, Grover Blanton, deputy sheriff, arrested two men, Elihu Allen and Morton Clemens. When he was up in quicksand, he heard a shot ring out over a fight about the election and realized that he'd been shot in the back. He swung around and shot Clemens, instantly killing him, and returned fire to Elihu, who was seriously wounded. Grover died of his wounds shortly afterwards at age 30. He was J.D. Vance's great-great-great-grandfather's son, and this is a good foot in the door to understanding the feud. In fact, if we sort of pan over here, you know, you've got the Hatfields and the McCoys, but over here it was the Cockrells and the Hargises. And you can see that the Cockrells were still active in this county. Even today, there's many, many Cockrells here, thousands of them. This is the Breathitt County Masonic Lodge, and Mawmaw Vance's father, Blaine Blanton, served as a Freemason here. He was also the town jailer for a while and served his country in World War II. Over that bridge is the North Fork of the Kentucky River, and you can see here the police station, and down here is downtown Jackson. It's kind of a bit of a dying town. You can see where a lot of old commercial buildings used to be that have been torn down for many years now. Down here is a first-gen Hummer for the City of Jackson Police Department. And like I said, this is the North Fork of the Kentucky River. A little bit further down here in West Virginia, you had the Hatfield and McCoy feud, which I believe was fought along the same river. And more police over there. Fading Hope Shop. We're looking for the Hargis Brothers department store, and I'll put some photos to overlay, but this town has changed a lot since the 1890s. And you can see we're in Trump country here. This is Breathitt County, sort of J.D. Vance's childhood stomping grounds. He'd come back here during vacations, I think during summers, to visit his grandparents. And there's downtown. And there is I think this is an open top mine, really just overlooking downtown Breathitt County.
It's a memory, 11 years of service. It's a little...
Hey, yeah, and you've got assholes in every town, don't you?
I can get bit 101.